So the Samsung Galaxy Flip 5 has just officially came out. It's been out for about a couple weeks now. So let's go and see how it compares against the Google Pixel 7 and see which specific phone you should go and pick up. Now, if you want to pick up either one of these devices, links will be down in the description. You can get them from there and you can help support the channel at the same time. Now, starting off with the outside of both these devices, the Google Pixel 7, which came out in 2022, basically the end of last year, we have a pretty decent 6.3-inch AMOLED display. It's a 90Hz panel, 1080p, and it looks pretty good. Definitely does not look like an ugly panel by any means. It's a pretty good sized phone, feels fairly premium, and the glass on the back, everything, it feels very, very good. And it's a pretty common phone. It's a phone that you basically get, and it's a device that, doesn't have a huge learning curve. You don't have to get used to it. It's just a phone that you buy. It's like every other phone in the market. Now, it is, because it's been out for over a year, the successor of this thing is going to be coming out very soon. But also this device, the price tag of this thing has gone down too. It's pretty much like $500. A lot of places you look, even cheaper than that probably now. So it's probably like a big thing to keep in mind about this device. With the Galaxy Flip 5, you are basically getting two different types of panels. So you are getting a cover display on the front of this phone. That's a 3.4-inch Super AMOLED display on that device. It's a good panel. You can do whatever you want to with it for the most part. But flipping this thing open, that is when you get the actual display. And that's a 6.7-inch foldable dynamic AMOLED display on that device. Now, a few things to keep in mind on this one. One, I would say, it does have a crease in the middle, so it kind of throws off a few things. But for the most part, you are getting a device on that phone that is a 120 Hz panel. So it's already a little bit better from that perspective, but also the peak brightness gets brighter on the Galaxy Flip 5 than on the Pixel 7. So you're getting a brighter display with 120 Hz. That's some pretty cool stuff. Although the Pixel 7 doesn't have the crease in the middle, I would still say the Flip 5 is probably the better one when it comes down to it from that specific perspective. So that kind of covers it up there. They both have USB-C ports on the bottom, which is great. Both have kind of flat sides, not really. The Flip 5 is complete flat, but the Pixel 7 not so much. They both have glass on the back, but the Pixel 7, is the standard glass back with a dual camera setup. The Flip 5 has that frosted glass back with, that glass on the top and then the frosted glass back on the bottom half. So a pretty cool stuff. There's not, again, a lot to complain about here. And I think from that perspective alone, it gets a thumbs up for me, which is actually pretty cool. Now, a few things to keep in mind on the outside. They both have IP certification. They both have wireless charging and reverse wireless charging, which is pretty cool. And they both are pretty, they both have a lot of stuff going for them from that perspective, which is honestly a very, very nice thing. But I do think that something like the Pixel 7 is probably, like I said, the more common phone. It is the device that I think people are going to look at as more of the one that's going to be more comfortable, I think, for a lot more people to use. I think with the Flip 5, it has such a huge learning curve, and even though it doesn't seem like it, like folding and unfolding, you have to learn how to use that cover display. You have to learn how to, kind of get used to a phone that's like this. And I don't think a lot of people even want a flipping phone. I think they're cool. I think they might be the future, but I just don't think these ones, until Samsung makes a Galaxy S series flip phone kind of thing, it's the exact same phone of the S series, but it's just a flip device, then that makes sense. But because this one is not as good of a phone as the S series, it just doesn't make sense to buy this one in my opinion. Now, moving on to the camera side of things, this device does have, they actually both have dual camera setups on the back. So the Pixel 7 has a 50 megapixel wide, 12 megapixel ultra wide. The Flip 5 has dual 12 megapixel lenses, both wide and ultra wide cameras. And on the front, they both have wide angle cameras. The Pixel 7 is ultra wide for some reason. They both can do 4K at 60 on the back, but they both can do 4K at 30 on the front, but the Pixel 7 can do 4K at 60 on the front as well. So that is a slight advantage for something like the Pixel 7. I will say though, I would probably say that the Samsung camera is probably usually the better one, and those are the ones that usually tend to have more features and just an overall better experience. I will say though, with the Pixel 7's camera, it's good. Again, there's not a lot to complain about, but you're definitely, in my opinion, getting the better camera from something like the, Samsung Galaxy Flip 5 than on the Pixel 7. It's not by much. I feel like even with the Flip 5, although it's a Samsung camera and it's so good, I feel like Samsung could be improving these cameras on their flip phones a lot. And I understand it's a phone that has to flip and it can't be the same thing as a Pixel or the Samsung S series. But like I said, I think Samsung has some, ways to improve on here. And I'm waiting for the day until Samsung actually does improve these specific phones from that perspective. So I guess we're waiting and seeing, but I guess we'll just have to wait and see what happens there. But definitely the Samsung S have the best cameras, but the flips are probably better in this perspective than the Pixel 7. Now, in terms of software and longevity, you are definitely, again, getting a phone on probably the Pixel 7 side that's going to last longer than something like the Galaxy Flip 5. As far as we can tell, the Flip 5, very good, software longevity. I'm sure it's going to be lasting for quite a bit of time. But as far as I can tell, you are definitely going to be getting a device on the Pixel 7 that is probably going to last longer. And because it is basically like stock Android, you're going to be getting a device from that perspective that's going to be getting day one updates. So even when the next version of Android comes out, Android 14, you're going to be getting it pretty much day one when it officially comes out on the Pixel 7, or at least within the first couple of days on the Pixel 7, then on the Pixel, then on the S series right now. So kind of keep that in mind in the back of your head too. Not the end of the world or anything, but just one of those other things to keep in mind there. Now, in terms of performance, this is also another very, very interesting difference between them. So with the Pixel 7, Google made their Tensor chipset a few years ago, and the Pixel 7 has that Tensor G2 chipset inside with 8 gigabytes of RAM. Now, on the Samsung Galaxy Flip 5, we have that Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 chipset inside with 8 gigabytes of RAM inside of that phone. Now, these two devices are very, very different from one another because one has a Mali GPU, the other one has that Snapdragon GPU, and as of right now has the Adreno GPU, but as of right now, what's going on is that a lot of applications are starting to get used to and starting to adapt to these Mali GPUs because those are starting to kind of, I guess, be more prominent because of, the Pixel chipsets. So, even just a year ago, things were different. Right now, I would say the Pixel 7 is still overall not as good of a performing phone in terms of the heavier intensive gaming and heavier intensive applications, and then the Adreno GPUs with the Snapdragon chipsets. But that can change. Next year, when I'm making the next video of this thing, things probably will change again, and maybe the Pixel 8 will be a faster chipset than the Flip 6. But as of right now, for basic applications, for basic day-to-day usage, things like calling people, texting people, those things like, calling, whatever you're going to do, Snapchat, Instagram, both these phones are going to be more than enough for those things. But taking a step back, when you're actually taking a look at these two devices, you are probably going to be getting, overall, in my opinion, the more, the faster chipset, faster phone on the Z Flip 5 than on the Pixel 7. So again, it's just what it is. There's nothing we can do about it, but that is kind of what I'm saying between these two devices from that perspective. So that kind of covers it up there. The Pixel 7, I would also argue, probably has a better battery life as well. From everything I can tell, you are probably getting the better battery life from the Pixel 7 than on the Flip 5. So to kind of sum up this video, what I'm definitely telling you is, I definitely do think that the Pixel 7 is the better phone, probably for a vast majority of people. It's cheaper, it's easier to use, it's already been out for a while, so it's kind of, it's probably available in the used market all over the place. And I do think it's a good phone that probably has a lot of features built in. With the Flip 5, I think this is a phone that if it was $400, I think it'd be a good device. But because it's $1,000, it just doesn't make any sense to buy this phone at all. I would much rather recommend buying a Samsung Galaxy S22 than the Galaxy Flip 5. I feel like the S22 is a better phone than the Flip 5. So take that as you will. But I think between these two, the Pixel 7 is the one I'd recommend a majority of people to own. If you were kind of thinking about the Flip 5, just buy the Galaxy S23 and just call it a day. I'm sure you're going to be getting a good performing phone from that device too as well. So that kind of covers it up there. If you have any other thoughts or questions, let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.